Well, hello there. Good afternoon, Nancy, coming at you. It's a hot, sultry, humid day here in Bella Vista, Arkansas. All right, so one of my favorite things is watching documentaries with my husband. And we tripped over an interesting documentary, and it was about the history of the American circus, that whole phenomenon, that history that spanned well over 100 years and has since passed away, except maybe through Cirque du Soleil. Anyways, I found it very fascinating because, probably most viewers as they're watching it are thinking about learning about the circus, which obviously that's a big part of it. But really the big takeaway is the incredible business, finesse, and extreme marketing that it took to become successful in the circus business. And so P.T. Barnum was really kind of the grandfather of the whole, launching that, which, by the way, make sure you go to the Netflix documentary. I think it's called The American Experience, the Circus, I think is the name. It's a 2-part series, each of those an hour and a half long. It's very in-depth. And for me, I just marveled at the sheer size and scope of what they did. It's just extremely difficult to even fathom. And to me, by seeing that taking place in the 1800s seems to just far exceed almost anything we're doing right now, because they didn't have all the modern amenities that we have and the extremes of the management of what they were handling, that it makes everything else to me that I've done look like minuscule by comparison. But P.T. Barnum, so basically this whole storyline and narrative is him overcoming challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge. One of the biggest, one was fighting off competitors. So Bailey was a competitor, and this was a very common theme in this whole historical overview, is that they would partner up. First it would be the duking it out, trying to out-compete, out-advertise. And you want to talk about advertising? We're talking about his competitor. I think this was for P.T. Barnum versus Bailey. And before I go on, make sure you go to AnnSiegMentor.com, where we go through leadership training together, as well as I give marketing overviews. So make sure you go to AnnSiegMentor.com. That's my private leadership mastermind group. Okay, so back to that is they would duke it out. So it was P.T. Barnum putting up, I think it was 23,000 huge banners plastering a city. And this would be city after city, like 55 cities in a season. 55. I mean, it was just an insane workload that they did. But 23,000 posters, and then the competitor would be like, oh yeah? And they'd put up 26,000. I'm drawing a blank on his main competitor. Oh, Forepaugh, because Forepaugh. Anyways, it was absolutely insane how they would compete against each other. The big breakthrough for P.T. Barnum was when he bought Jumbo the elephant from the UK, and they said he made more money in the season for which he had Jumbo the elephant, because it was this spectacular wonder of the world. It was an exceptionally tall, big elephant. So he made more in that season of when he had Jumbo on display through a circus than all his years, his decades combined, was with Jumbo. And then, what do you know, Jumbo tragically got hit by a freight train while out in the circus yard and Jumbo died. So what did he do? He took the skeleton and he started showcasing that. It was really unbelievable how they had to keep out competing each other. And then along came the Ringling Brothers. And see, by this time, this whole industry of circuses was really taking off, and there would be up to 50 different independent circuses in the U.S. during the 1800s, kind of the peak around 1870 or so. 50 different circus companies, because it was like, wow, this is how you can make a living, is having a circus. And so they were always in this quest to outclaim each other. You know, the highly exaggerated performances. And, you know, I can't always but help make analogies to the industries that I've been in, which has spanned from real estate to automotive to online marketing, affiliate, network marketing, and e-commerce. And it's just something else, because it's like, okay, this history of people trying to outclaim the other person. I see it in the ads as they come through my feed. Oh yeah? Well, we got this, and that. Anyways, it was really, really striking. But here was one of the biggest detriments that just blew me away, was when they would have a fire and their entire big tent burned up in flames. The worst one was with the Ringling brothers. They had all since died, and it was the nephew who resurrected the business, and which took enormous strength and audacity, or courage. The courage that it took to run these businesses, to me, is insane, because there are so many odds against them. But anyways, so they had a big fire in the big top, and then there were 186 deaths. So it's like, surely this is the end of his business, because of the bad reputation. You don't want to go to the circus, you know, those burned down. Nope, don't even go. But no, he pressed on, and he did. And he continued to keep the circus going. And then ultimately what it was, and again, this is just the vexing part of having a business, is when other trends come out for which you simply can't compete against. So it started with the movies, and then it was radio. Well, started with radio, then movies, and then ultimately what basically brought down the entire history, the demise of the American circus phenomenon. See if you can guess what it was. Because almost every industry has something of this making, this disruption. Look what happened with Airbnb, for example. Anyways, here's what it was. Ed Sullivan, the Lucy show. I love Lucy. It was when people could have the convenience of just being at home and no longer going through the hassle of traveling to go to a circus and be entertained. Instead, they could be entertained in the comfort of their homes. And so specifically it was Ed Sullivan, and I watched that going, oh yeah, I remember watching the Ed Sullivan show as a young child, and it was amazing. You know, I'd have an elephant and a this and a that. So it was basically, once that came in, that is when the American circus phenomenon died. So why am I sharing this with you? One, I am tipping my hat to predecessors who role modeled what it meant to have tremendous pluck and courage, fortitude, stamina, overcoming challenges in an industry vastly different than mine, and yet they all had to be incredible marketers, incredible at sales. I mean, brilliant, brilliant businessmen. So I tip my hat to that any day of the week, right? So it's that, and then all these lessons learned, and I found what was so intriguing, how so many of them with a vicious competitor, they partnered up. That was interesting. So what does that tell you? Don't burn your bridges. There may be a need and a time in your industry where you're having to, out of necessity, partner up. That was a big takeaway for me. So anyways, just wanted to share that with you. It is an outstanding documentary. I highly recommend it. Mostly, I just went way in there deep with my marketing, salesmanship, business mind, and gleaned so much value out of that two-part documentary. So I would highly encourage you to watch it. All right, so in closing, make sure you go to AncieMentor.com to join my private leadership mentorship group. All right, till then, talk to you later. Bye-bye.